Willkommen bei ihrer, der Gemeinschaft zur Förderung des modernen Realismus. Heute mit der Malerin Janet Knight. Wir sind eine Gruppe internationaler Künstler, die traditionelle Maltechniken anwendet, um realistische, gegenwartsnahe Gemälde zu kreieren. In diesem Film stellt uns Graeme Stevenson die Malerin Janet Knight vor. Janet hat an der Ballarat University in Australien Kunst studiert. Heute arbeitet sie als freischaffende Künstlerin und hält in ihrem Atelier in Melbourne regelmäßig Workshops ab. Janets Schaffen umfasst Landschaftsgemälde, Porträts und mehr. Dabei arbeitet sie mit Öl, Acryl, Pastell und Aquarellfarben. Janet nimmt regelmäßig an Ausstellungen teil und hat eine Vielzahl von Preisen gewonnen. Der Originaltext im folgenden Film ist mit deutschen Untertiteln versehen.
G'day viewers, my name's Graeme Stevenson and I'd like to invite you to come on a journey of creativity and learning and adventure through the series Colour in Your Life. There's an artist in every family throughout the world, and lots of times there's an artist deep down inside all of us as well. So grab your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your aunties, uncles and mums and dads and come and see how some of the best artists in Australia do what they do.
Well, hi guys, and welcome back to Colour in Your Life. Well, we're back in Melbourne again, and I'm with the delightful Janet Knight. How are you, darling?
I'm good, thank you very much,
Good to
Graeme.
see you again. Well,
It's
Janet,
great to be back.
It's fantastic, absolutely. Janet's been on the show before, and obviously with what happened with you on the show, tell us a little bit about what happened to you and the response after the first show.
Pretty much my website got a zillion hits.
That's great.
All of a sudden.
Nothing wrong with that.
And my work picked up overnight.
fantastic, isn't it?
Emails from all over Australia were coming in and a couple from New Zealand as well.
Wow.
And it was just an amazing response, really.
That's fantastic.
And work has picked up, like my classes are full and my workshops are like always booked out. So yeah, it's been totally 100% positive.
You've gone on to win a whole bunch of awards as well.
Yeah, I have.
It's sort of like the publicity really helped in the end,
and
didn't
I'm
it?
selling, at every exhibition I'm selling, so
That's
it's
fantastic.
Really good.
I think the beauty about doing the show with you today is that, and part of the makeup of the way that Colour in Your Life is structured, is that you have something else to say about your work at the moment. And this is a great way to obviously communicate with everybody out there right across the world these days. And you've been focusing on nudes as well.
Yeah, at the moment.
Apart from your landscapes.
And loving
now,
it.
I've got to ask a sort of a kind of a personal question. These are pictures of you.
Yes, they're self-portraits.
There you
yes,
go.
they are.
Her husband, her darling husband Russell, has been taking photos. Obviously, very personal type photos, of course. It's a closed session, I can assure you.
Yes, it's a closed session.
But part of what we're going to be doing today is just going through some techniques and then also seeing some of the new techniques that Janet's using with her landscape painting. She just does fabulous pieces in the Australian landscape, just beautiful bits of work, reflection and light, which she's very, very good at doing. But let's make a start on the nude.
Yeah,
and then
sure.
we'll sort of fire some questions as we go through and go from there. But let's go for it.
Great.
Okay. Well, Janet, these are wonderful pieces. They're very subtly seductive and suggestive, and this is also something that you do in your classes as well with life drawing, and it's something that you wanted to extend a little bit further. You've obviously loved doing the life drawing in the workshops, but now you've gone into the painting side of things. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
For years, life drawing has just been totally amazing in my life. I really love to draw with pastels and charcoals and things like that. It's not until recently that I've been so inspired to paint more of the figure. I basically just wanted to jump straight into it. picked up a brush, put some paints out, got my husband to take photos of myself because I didn't have a model. Then off I went, and I'm just thoroughly enjoying it.
I'm just looking at the fact that you've got a MacBook Pro in front of you. Tell me a little bit about why you're using the computer instead of a photograph.
The reason for that too, Graeme, is I was always working from photographs. Decided to work from the computer because I had seen a few artists working from the computer, and it sort of went against the grain a little bit. But as soon as I started using it, I haven't looked back. You know, it's been amazing. The colours there, the clarity's there, and it's great to work from. Yeah,
and I think the fact that you've got this backlight, it just enables you to see the lights and the shadows.
That's
so much better than just a photograph sometimes.
I think too, yeah, when you're an artist, it's just totally important to get those tones right, the colours right, you know, the contrasts, those type of things, clarity, yeah.
Fantastic.
It's very important.
Using technology with traditional positions.
It's sort of, yeah, it's strange really, you know, because I'm a very sort of hands-on sort of artist, and to use technology to get the job done is a bit of a challenge. Was a challenge at the start, but no, I really enjoy it now.
Excellent. Well, you've got a palette set out there right now. Let's put some paint onto canvas.
Great. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, as you can see, I've got a few colours out here. I've got a few warm tones in case I need to work a little bit more on the hand, in and around the material folds. The Tasman blue, ultramarine blue. I've got my titanium, my raw umber, and the few warm colours as well. So I'll just start putting this together right now, and yeah, we'll see what we can do.
Fantastic.
So you can see that I've got a little bit of titanium here. I'm just going to throw in a little bit of the Tasman blue so that I've got a nice soft sort of tone here, and I come up with a good shadow colour. I may have to sort of darken it or lighten it at any particular stage, or just enlarge my pick here so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm working with a little bit of a larger brush as well. For these particular images, like if I was doing a life drawing class, I would pretty much like to work on a sheet of colour fixed paper, which is nice, and work in reverse. So building up the highlights rather than shade.
So you're just still using that one brush. That looks like the brush has actually got a bit of a slant on it, is that correct?
Yes, it's got a little bit of a slant on it. And I prefer that because on one end of the brush there's a slight point, and if I ever need to go in and put a little bit of a detail in a little area, I have got my little point on the end.
Oh, there you go, okay.
Yeah, so I'm slowly sort of building up the highlights around here. There's also reflected colour too that's important too when you've got a light fabric like this too.
Yeah.
And it's not until you study the subject that you actually find them and you see them.
And I think the thing about teaching, which I did for a little while, is that because you've got to change your mindset for every individual that's there, you really have to sort of form a pattern of where they're going with their work, so it does become very mentally exhausting after a while.
Oh, it does, it really does. And like I teach on an individual level too, so the artists that I have here in my studio, they're all on their own little trail, and they're on their own little journey, and I'm here to help them along. I don't try to make these people paint the way I paint. I want them to paint the way they want to paint, or the way they can paint, and I'm just here as a guide. And I've had some very successful students as well too, winning awards, selling.
That's a great accolade to you as a teacher.
Yeah, thank you, Graeme.
Absolutely.
A lot of people say it's very tricky to paint folds in material. That's one of the things that I set for my students. I'll set them homework to throw a sheet on the floor and then to just draw it. And it does teach you a lot. And I'll come back later on and tidy up some of those skin tones in the hand. There's a lot of things to do sort of to finish off a piece.
So in putting a piece like this together, as far as your composition is concerned, what are the factors that you try and put into play as far as the work is concerned? I mean, what are you trying to achieve with the pose and the positioning of the pose within the picture?
Well, I try to have, especially this series, I try to have them look a little bit cheeky. I want to keep them feminine, sensual, I like to work with a little bit of drama going on in the painting. I don't like to just paint a portrait as a portrait. I mean, figure is a figure is a figure, isn't it? I mean, I like to create a little bit of interest in the painting as well. So the interest to me is the light that's coming in, the mood. But I'm having really nice response from women. So there's a lot of women out there, all tucked away. You paint the painting like this and they're like, oh, I like that. And they're liking it because, I'm not a male painting a woman.
Well, you could do a whole series of workshops on teaching women how to paint themselves.
This last workshop that I've had, the landscape workshop, the ladies in that workshop were asking me for a figure painting workshop. I'd love to run workshops on this subject.
Fantastic. It's
and they can paint themselves.
Re-energise themselves and their lives.
That's right. I'm telling you, it's been liberating and I'm loving it. And I don't care what the world thinks. We're only on this little planet for a certain period of time. Why should we bury the fact that we want to do these things? And that's why women go out and they'll have the glamour photography. It's the same thing. They just want to be able to feel like a woman, I'm just teaching women to love themselves more. There's a lot of women out there that don't love themselves enough. There's always body images and there's always, the weight problems, and there's always all sorts of things that push a woman into this teeny weeny little space that she doesn't need to be in. And I just think it's unfair, and I just think women should love themselves more, and that's what I'm doing. This is why I'm painting this way, because I just think it's a great outlet for me especially.
I think, Janet, what seems to make this picture work very well is the fact that you've used a limited palette on it as well. It's got warm colours all around the outside and then this base of material cool in the middle.
I really enjoy working on limited palette. I think it's just a personal thing. Overall, I end up with a better result using less colours. It seems to create a little bit of softness.
Plus you've got that control of continuity as well.
Yes, and I tend not to clean my brush very often either, so that you get a little bit of paint transfer from one colour to the next colour, and you get that ambience going on. It's nice to have a little bit of this colour in that colour. It sort of joins everything together. So I'm just starting to build up a little bit of this pattern here, because all we're going to see through this pattern is pretty much the chair and other pieces of the lace in here. So I'm just trying to put in a few different little tones in here to create a little bit of a pattern here. It doesn't always have to be exactly the same.
It's called artistic license.
As the reference, that's right. We just, so long as it looks good at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
With the quality of the work that you've produced here, there must be women all over Melbourne that would love to be part of an idea like this, for you to teach them how to paint themselves as well. I think that would be pretty cool.
And feel good about themselves. At the end of the day, it's all about how you feel about yourself. There's not enough people out there that love themselves. I mean, loving yourself is one of the main things you should be doing in life.
Well, if they wanted to find out about that workshop, they can always go to your website, which is janetknight.com.au.
That's right.
I would suggest it highly, guys. That would be very cool. Maybe even throw the romance back into your relationship as well.
Oh, it absolutely will.
Yeah.
Shouldn't life be about fun?
Absolutely.
Well, as you can see, I'm starting to give this lace a little bit of shape, because there's a whole lot of detail in here that I am just going to soften off.
So you just sort of really thinned the paint out there and sort of running like a little bit of a wash, are you?
Yeah, it's just a bit of a whitewash. It's sort of got a little bit of white paint in it.
Yeah. You can see all the subtleties in the curves of the material.
Still after that feminine look. And nothing says feminine more than a piece of lace. And I think that's why I like some of those old-time movies too, because the ladies are always dressed in lace.
With their bustles.
They're just so feminine and pretty, and it's really beautiful. I mean, not that I want to go out and buy a corset, but they're always just so pretty and feminine and satiny and
parasols and gloves with raffia bases.
They're just ladies being ladies, you know.
Well, you've probably got a mile of work to do on that lace, but we get the picture of where you're going with this. It looks fantastic. But what we might do is we'll let you finish that off at some stage when we stumble out the door. But how about we move on to the water in the landscape that you want to show us? Which
Good idea. Good idea, Graeme.
Okay,
Yeah.
go from there. Okay, Janet, well, you've put up the landscape that we're going to do. This is going to be the other part of our show. And you want to focus mostly on the water techniques in this one.
That's right, and that's something that I haven't done before on the show. So I just thought I'd put a few little strokes in the water and a little bit of turbulence and show everyone how it's done.
Sounds fantastic. Well, let's have a go at it.
Okay, I'm just putting a little bit of my medium, which is basically gum turpentine and a little bit of linseed oil together.
Yeah, and obviously using a fairly, what's it like, a rigger brush you've got there.
Yeah, it's a rigger. It's one of my favourite brushes, really. So what I actually do is I put a few lines on and then I'll come along with my larger filbert here and I'll just soften it off. And what happens is when you soften it off is that you start to get this nice combination of both the underneath colours and the top colours sort of coming together. One
of the best parts about your career is that you get to spend these really fantastic times out in the bush taking photographs with Russell, plein air, just sitting there alone, just enjoying the sounds and the atmosphere of nature. It's a wonderful way to experience
absolutely amazing. Generally I won't work with oils when I'm plein air painting. I'll take my pastels along because I find that that's a medium that you can wash up easily and you don't have to carry a great deal of equipment around with you.
That's one of the great parts about living in Australia is that the cities, there's so much country out there. You literally drive 20 minutes outside the cities and you're in the wilderness again.
I know, it's perfect, isn't it? This actual scene came from Genoa Falls in Gippsland.
Yeah. Some of the other pieces you've done, a piece called Crossing at the Rocks. Beautiful piece, obviously, once again with the water.
That's an Otway Rangers painting.
Yeah, and then one called In the Moment, which is also a beautiful piece. I mean, your style is a very signature style, and you can straight away when you look at your work, you can see that that's one of Janet Knight's paintings.
It's nice to have your own style recognised as well. I don't really want these paintings to look like everyone else's, and I don't want them to be photorealistic either. I just want them to be how I see the world. The little rigger brush is good because it does give you line but also gives you a little bit of unpredictability, so it sometimes will go in its own little direction, and when it does go in its own little direction it gives you a little bit more of that looseness. You get more of a natural look to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Do you find when you're painting a scene like this, landscape with water, that you sort of tend to relive the moment of when you were there?
Oh, absolutely. This is one of the spots that I did sit and do my plein air work. Even now, as I'm working on it, I'm back there. It was a beautiful day and not hearing anything else except the sound of the birds, and I don't even think I could hear the leaves that day. It was so still. It was just beautiful.
You've won quite a few awards with these particular type of pieces, but over the years.
I
Obviously
have.
they're very well received by people.
I have. I just won another award last week, which was lovely.
Yeah, it never ends.
Yeah, so that was nice, and it was an art show that I hadn't entered before, so they didn't really know me.
That's great.
I ended up collecting my artwork, and they called me Mrs. Werribee, which was
Mrs.
made me
Werribee.
laugh. It made me laugh.
Seeing you live in the suburb of Werribee.
Yes, Mrs. Werribee. How about that?
You're very much an advocate of having no regrets in life.
No, absolutely. I'm one of those people that is a positive thinker, and I go on gut instinct a little bit, and I just find that if something feels right, it usually is right. I sort of base my life on that sort of attitude, and it's a good way to be.
That you get one chance.
Yeah, you certainly do get one chance, and you go for it. When water falls off a ledge like this, turns into a little bit of a point. So I'm just trying to create that in my work here. And as I said before too, I will come back and sort of refine these later on, but I'm just treading very lightly. And when it comes to these little trickles and little waterfalls here, this is a bit of a major one over here. But when it comes to these, I always make sure that there's a darker background for them to fall on.
Yep.
Whenever there's a waterfall space, I'll always create this darker area.
Yeah.
Then you get some beautiful contrast happening.
Okay.
And sometimes we can just get our little filbert in there and just to soften the whole thing, you know, and then it looks a little bit more like a dry brush.
It's a very delicate technique.
It is. And I'm using the filbert like quite dry.
Yeah.
It just creates this softness. And the whole idea too about a little waterfall like this is the negative space is important too. Sometimes it's not always about the water that's falling over, it's about what's left behind.
All right, Janet, you've shown us some fantastic techniques today, some of your beautiful work. Obviously, your waterfalls in your pictures are very, very iconic for what you do. It's just been wonderful, and because of the beauty of television, we can now see the finished painting being screened, and that looks absolutely fantastic as well. So, very well achieved and a fantastic day of great education.
Thank you very much, Graeme.
Okay, folks, another fantastic day with a very talented lady. Janet.
Thank you very much, Graeme.
It was amazing, 2 times.
Thank you for having me the second time
It's
too.
great.
Thank you.
Today's lesson really was about different techniques.
Yeah.
And the direction you're going in, and also very much so about the workshops that you're doing, these self-empowerment workshops for women, involving a lot of the portraiture work. It's work that's designed to take ladies in our society that may feel a little unempowered.
That's right.
And through your workshops say, okay, anything's possible and this is who I am.
That's right.
I like myself as a woman.
That's right. It's getting to know yourself again, getting to like yourself. You know, there's so many people out there that don't really like themselves as a person, and this is finding yourself again, getting in touch with yourself.
But I mean, it's got a lot to do with Janet as a woman for a start. I mean, you're just a fantastic girl and really, really creative human being. I think that's so important.
Thanks so much.
Your website, if people want to get in touch with you?
janetnight.com.au.
That's fantastic. And also before we go, I wanted to say one thing. Because of Colour in Your Life, we had so many inquiries from people all over Australia. We've actually started a non-for-profit called Paint Your Life. It's at paintyourlife.net.au. And we are sending Colour in Your Life artists and many, many other people. We've had volunteers from everywhere going out to help people that, from muscular dystrophy to elderly people in nursing homes, helping them, teaching them with workshops and demonstrations, inmates in jail, and many, many other people that are part of our society that might live a little bit out society. So come along and have a look at that as well. It's a fantastic thing that we're doing, and it's really, really helping a lot of people right across Australia. Also, colorinyourlife.com.au. Amazingly talented people like Janet in there as well. You know, you obviously enjoy what we've done, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love it.
It's been a lot of fun. But as we always say, we've got to go again. But remember, guys, make sure you put some colour in your life. And we'll see you next time. Bye now.
An dieser Stelle möchten wir uns ganz herzlich bei Graeme Stevenson bedanken. Er hat uns dieses Filmmaterial freundlicherweise zur Verfügung gestellt. Wir haben mit ihm verabredet, auch zukünftig einige seiner Produktionen hier in diesem Programm zu präsentieren. Wir werden viele international bekannte Künstler zu sehen bekommen. Wir freuen uns auf diese Zusammenarbeit. Dies bringt uns zum Ende unseres heutigen Programms. In den kommenden Monaten werden wir weitere Folgen mit Malerinnen und Malern aus aller Welt präsentieren. Halten Sie deshalb Ausschau nach ihrer, der Association Embracing Realist Art, und besuchen Sie unsere englische Internetseite realist-art.com.